Well, as the games of the 31st Olympiad get underway in Brazil, there are plenty of athletes already gazing ahead 4 years to Tokyo 2020. That's because their sport will be added to the program at the next Olympics.
That's right. Baseball, softball, karate, surfing and sport climbing have been added to the Olympics by the IOC. That's good news for Emma Horan, who represents Australia on the World Climbing Tour. Emma, welcome.
Thanks, Andrew.
How exciting is this news that, given your form and your position, you may well be going to Tokyo?
Yeah, hopefully if I can hold it together for 4 years. It seems like a long time, but it's going to just fly past.
So talk through what you know or what you think might be involved in climbing in an Olympics as opposed to your regular climbing competitions. Do you think the Olympics one will be any different?
Oh, absolutely. So they're talking about having all three disciplines combined into the Olympics. So that'll be bouldering, lead climbing and speed climbing.
All right, you better explain what those are.
Yeah, let's go one to the other.
All right, so we'll start with the simplest. So speed climbing, that's climbing as fast as you can.
So that's what we're seeing at the moment?
Yeah, that's what you're seeing, climbing as fast as you can up about a 10-metre wall.
Yeah,
I think the world record is sitting at about 5.6 at the moment.
That's the Spider-Man event then?
Yes, that's the Spider-Man event. Then we have lead climbing, which is as high as you can get on a wall. Walls vary from about 12 to 16 metres in height. Following on from that, we have bouldering, which is probably the most complicated grading system and what I specialise in. And that's about a 5-metre wall, and it's very powerful. So if you compare it to sort of, like this, if you compare it, it's kind of like sprinting. You're not on the wall for very long, but you're
Is
working
this
very
more
hard.
like real rock climbing?
Bouldering?
When you're doing cliff faces and so on?
That's most applicable to lead climbing and bouldering is real cliff faces.
So what has made you specialise in that particular strand? Is it to do with strength, body shape? Is it to do with technicality? Where are the
absolutely. So I don't really have the body type to be an endurance athlete, which is what lead climbers need to be. So I'm much better at developing muscle and producing power. So that's why I specialised in bouldering.
This sport has really taken the world by storm, hasn't it? I mean, just in the last few years it's taken off. Why is that, do you think?
I think because it's a lifestyle sport, so you can go down to the gym at any time. You don't really need to there's not like set training times.
Yeah, because back in the day, of course, you actually go and find a cliff to do this, but now you've got those indoor.
Yeah, we've got all the artificial
things.
Walls, and they're booming in Australia. We've had about 3 pop up, I think, this year, and another 3 set to pop up in the second half of the year.
So Emma, how has this been for you then, that journey? Because you've been doing this since you were 7. You've been doing this for a long time, way before these indoor walls were there. So you loved climbing, you grew up doing it, and then suddenly there's this just boom of more outlets for you to do it.
Absolutely. It was no one really took it seriously to start with. When you told people you're a climber, everyone was just like, what? But in the past few years, I've started like telling people more confidently that I'm a climber, and they're like, oh really, that's so cool, like outdoors. And I'm like, yeah, like out in cliff faces and stuff.
Wow.
How does Australia rate on the world stage in competition?
Quite well. So we're obviously we don't have many. Like, we don't have the Alps or anything like America and Europe do, so we don't have a very big mountaineering background. So there is a lack of sort of history in climbing in Australia, but like with most sports, we're pretty competitive and we want to win. So there's quite a few currently that are set to be pretty competitive, and the juniors are looking very strong.
We've just been looking at extraordinary footage of you climbing. We might actually try and play that again, because you see how high up on that wall
scary,
you go.
Isn't it? Yeah.
You must have incredible strength in your fingers, I would imagine, to manage those holds. There's so much I'd love to ask you about this, but how much strategy is involved in a climb like this?
So if you've probably seen those little things that hang off the wall, they're called quick draws. We don't have those in bouldering generally. So to clip them, you need to be very efficient. You need to do it quickly, because otherwise you're climbing consistently for 15 metres, you're going to get tired. So a lot of my strategy, because I'm not an endurance athlete, is to try and get those done really quickly. So I do them a lot 2 at a time. So if I can find a good hold, I'll clip it and clip it again.
Oh, right.
Yeah, to
so
conserve energy. Yeah, and as far as finger strength goes, yes. That's primarily my training.
That's why I didn't shake your hand when you came into the studio. I'm like, no.
The crushing handshake. So Emma, who's most suitable for this sort of sport? And do you find people from other sports have perhaps been drawn to it?
So gymnastics is a really good feeder sport, obviously. Flexibility, strength. And dance as well, with the flexibility and their strength. Anyone can do it. It's such a low impact sport, as I think people sort of get taken back a little bit when you say rock climbing. Oh, that's scary. It's like it's actually very low impact. So you can do it from the age of 5 up to 80 or 90. Yeah, we've still got a few guys that come into our gym that are well into their 80s.
Wow.
Still coming in weekly.
Very exciting, Emma. So looking ahead, you know, you would feel like you're perfectly placed to make a run for that Games.
Yeah.
What's your next 4 years then going to look like? Or next probably 3 years up until that selection time?
Just training. Yeah, getting as much international experience as possible, going over to the World Cups, because climbing's quite dependent on the setting, so how the holds are placed on the wall, and there's very different styles all around the world. So Olympics will be very contingent on who sets for the Olympics. So
that's
to be able to get the experience to know.
And of course, in this era of professionalism, I'd imagine there's a bit of money attached to this. Is it lucrative?
Not hugely. I've just finished my degree in sport management, so I'm hoping this announcement gets a bit more money involved. But in Australia, it's pretty hard to get money in anything in sport at the moment. So
well, good luck on that front and on all the training front as well, Emma Horan. Good luck to you. It'd be great to see how you go, and do keep in contact.
Yeah,
and
look
let
forward to
us know how
seeing
you're
your
going.
name.
Yeah. I'll be there in some capacity.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, and thanks so much for dropping in.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you so much for having me.